Both Turbo and Flash are very similar. Both are discounted, 50% cost of the multilingual. When you need like the best quality possible, emotions, multilingual will be the best. For any real-time use case, it's like Turbo or Flash, both with the same pricing.
Do you guys have any insights on what is the sentiment analysis of the older generations when they interact with these voice agents?
There is a population in the middle that I would say that still struggles or don't really like the fact of talking to an AI, also because of the philosophic component.
You are going from being just an infrastructure provider, builders build on top of it, to also making it easier for the end consumer to start using your platform. Strategically speaking, why this?
Why stop at the lowest level when you can have this ambition of going for all the voice market? There is not only text-to-speech, but also applications on top.
What are the 3 use cases these enterprises are using AI voice? Welcome back one more time to the Agentic Project. On today's episode, we're going to be speaking exclusively about voice agents, the main use cases that big companies are using it for, and also what are the struggles technology is suffering, with none other than Marcos Valera, part of the GTM team at ElevenLabs. Marcos, welcome.
Thank you very much.
To begin with, it's a massive milestone that not many people can actually brag about. You guys reached 200 million ARR back in August. And for a company that has been only for 3 years around us, how the fuck do you guys do this?
It's hard to explain with one only thing. I will say everything, like the main thing is probably talent. So of course, like at the beginning, it was purely product-led growth, but this is brought by the research team, and this is basically talent, Piotr and the rest of the team exploring how to build the best text-to-speech, the best speech-to-text now, and products on top of that. So I will say, if I have to say only a word, it will be talent. Like talent density here is something impressive. But of course, like then is of course the go-to-market motion helps, the growth team and the growth tactics help a lot. The engineering team is amazing. So we build like products super fast. We develop features at a speed that I cannot believe. Like probably today there is something new that wasn't there yesterday. So also that's a big reason. And in AI in general, to compete with OpenAI, Amazon, Google, etc., the speed is something super important with to reach this momentum that we have.
Super quick question now that you mentioned this speed to build. In San Francisco, there's this trend which is called 996, which means working from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. Is that something that you guys are doing internally, or are you passing on that?
We are actually passionate on that, but I will say probably a lot of us do the 9 and 6. Like there
Yeah.
is no strict policy on, hey, you have to work this amount of hours or you have to achieve this, but it's more like a culture thing that everyone is passionate about what they are building. Like, no one tells me, hey, you are working too low, or hey, you didn't do 8 hours or you didn't do 12 hours, but we are all thrilled and we are all like passionate about building. So we are working all the time. Like for example, the Barcelona AI Summit that we met like last month. So, okay, after that I went to another voice AI event, and then I met another like founders, and then during the weekend as well. So it's like our culture is more like, okay, bring people that really like to do what they do, so they will be working rather than, hey, you have to work 6 days a week, you have to be available at this time, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good mindset. Getting into the golden topic of today, which for us is the use cases that you're seeing, the main, like the bigger enterprises are using voice for. What are the 3 use cases these enterprises are using AI voice? AI voice. AI voice.
Would you rather to have the answer for enterprises like only big companies, or enterprises like startups with big usage and big companies?
Let's go for both. Let's go for both. Yeah.
Sure. So I will say, of course, Crown, the biggest use case is customer support. In enterprise, I will say is customer support the one that solves like the biggest pain. So it will be like the main one. Then we'll also have the creative side, because we have two parts of the product. Let's say we have the creative platform and we have agents. Agents will be much more, okay, customer support, feedback from customers, those kind of internal agents as well inside of big companies so they can communicate, etc. For example, like imagine we are a huge company and we have some situation similar to this one, and you want to interview someone or get some information about some employee in the company. Instead of, hey Marcos, we are going to do an interview, you can send him an agent and he can ask questions, same as this podcast, right? And then for the creative platform, it will be mainly with the creative teams. So many use cases here will be video ads. Now we also have image and video models in the platform, so that will help even more. So video ads probably is the number one for big enterprises. And then I will say for big enterprises, stuff about like creating reports, listening to reports, those kind of things, podcasts, personalized podcasts, those kind of things. Then if you were talking about AI startups or startups in general using voice AI, you will see customer support a lot as well. So let's say from a crypto platform to a whatever, like a marketplace, they need customer support. So this is a big use case. But then there is also a big component of AI assistance. So let's say the real estate marketplaces that we all know. For example, in Italy, there is a big one called Immobiliare, like the main one. We built an assistant with them that helps you qualify leads. This will be also a big use case for both enterprises and startups, but also help the users find the best place, ask questions about the houses, etc., etc. So these kind of assistants apply to every platform, from real estate that I was mentioning, but also it's our platform for documentation, so you can reach like the specific documentation that you need or solve your technical questions with our own assistant. So assistants will be a big one. Then some startups have the core of their product with ElevenLabs. So let's say we have AI girlfriends or AI boyfriends with voice, of course, as core of the product. This is for
Scary topic. Scary topic.
very,
Yeah.
very scary product. Or language learning apps, like those kind of conversational apps. Of course, like ElevenLabs is a big component, but also for bookings. So let's say booking platforms or travel platforms, you can have an assistant, or for your e-commerce that you know quite well the space, you can have an assistant where you ask, no, I want to buy something, in my case, I don't know, for my partner, what can you recommend? And then it can ask questions and do cross sells, upsells, etc.
Super interesting. Like you were mentioning, mainly customer support, creatives, also some kind of lead qualification. Let's now talk a bit about hype, because the moment ElevenLabs start dropping these amazing voices, first thing people was thinking about is, I'm going to try to do cold outreach with these voices. And we still see a lot of people claiming that they are selling using AI agents, voice AI agents doing cold outreach. What's your take here?
My opinion, and I can speak like I've been in sales and go to market for quite a long time, and I was coming actually for automating content and automating outreach in the past. I think like the traditional cold outbound doing with AI doesn't really work. Like you can do it at a scale, but it won't really work unless it's like super personalized and super relevant. And I can put an example here. So let's say probably everyone in Spain or Europe received a call like this, but for example in Spain there is some spammy or even scam calls that call you like, hey, I'm this jobs platform, will you be
Yeah.
in the application, etc. I think that doesn't work. Like at volume, like if you scale it, you could reach some customers, but then if we see the other side, we are seeing that it works a lot. So for example, I have a customer that does personalized or tailor clothing, like suits, etc. They have big customers, such as like big famous boxers, rappers, etc. And basically what they do is they have their database or leads that were interested, and then they outreach saying, hey, there is this new collection, there is only 10 units, would you be interested? So they are seeing a lot more traction, and they can release much more, like many more collections, because they can reach out to more people in less time without hiring like reps. So that's relevant. Or for example, if someone calls me and I don't know, I organize like hacker houses and events, etc. If someone calls me, and even if it's an AI, and says, hey, we do cleaning for X fee for houses in Barcelona. Imagine, because they saw that they have this post about this hacker house in Barcelona. I wouldn't mind that it's AI, like it's relevant for me. So that one will work. So if you can personalize it, it will work. Same as, for example, debt collection is an outbound use case that works really well, even better than humans. I have a take here because maybe we have some kind of embarrassment if a human calls us like, hey, you owe 3,000 euro. But if it's an AI that calls you and say, hey, you owe 3,000 euro, would you like to know about different ways of payment? Maybe you will be much more interested. So I will say, if it's personalized, yes, it will work because you can do it at a scale without increasing your headcount. If it's pure outbound or not very personalized, it won't work.
Yeah, I think
I
it's key
actually,
here that the audience it's a bit warm right before trying to reach them.
Either warm, or you have some signals that they are
yeah.
interested. So, for example, I didn't stalk you on LinkedIn, but probably you have some post, etc.
Mm.
So imagine I call you, and I don't know, you are checking some MS Studios clothing. For example, I'm like a fan of MS Studios, and imagine there is something very unique that you can only buy. This will be like a marketing campaign, but you can only buy if you receive this call. These are the only shoppers. Hey, we are offering this only for people that comes from these calls. If you are this kind of shopper, you have this kind of brand, exclusivity is a big part of it. So I'm sure that will convert. But then if you are reaching random people saying, hey, we offer clothes, they will be like, what the fuck is this? No?
It's pretty obvious that AI agents are like the voice agents are actually working, and I would call it actually one of the first obvious success cases for AI agents in the past 2 years. And the metric, we mentioned earlier, like how much money is ElevenLabs making, is probably the number one, if not the only, but the number one AI voice provider. And it's crazy how good it's going. And I just read that 40% of the Fortune 100 companies are already using ElevenLabs internally, which is, as a salesperson myself, like huge congrats to the GTM team, because, and also a product, like you need a good product for that. But in order to knock into someone's door in a Fortune 100, you've got to have a pretty solid, as you said earlier, a pretty talented GTM team in house. My question up next is, because we haven't really caught up lately, Marcos, but we are also working with voice agents now for inbound and so on. With a kind of complicated audience or ICP, because I guess that for us that we're like a younger generation, we're more exposed to tech, we're more exposed to AI. When we hear like an inbound call or some interaction with a voice agent, we're open to talking to it because we've grown with it. But how about the, let's call them boomers, but they're like some sort of the older generations? Do you guys have any insights on what is the sentiment analysis of these people when they receive a call or when they interact with these voice agents?
Yeah, that's an interesting take because, as you said, there is like population there in the middle. So I will say we have the younger generations that are even willing to talk to these agents or talk more when there is an AI, because we are like these kind of early adopters and we like to test these kind of technologies. But then there is also the other side, like the complete opposite, that also struggles with interacting with apps or with websites, with text in general, because they need like huge keyboards, etc. That also is enjoying talking to this kind of technology, and actually is working with several use cases, same as such as account, like bank account information, because they had to go somewhere, or imagine they live in a town, they have to go to the city, ask information about their bank account, etc. Now they can do it with AI. So we are seeing that even if it's like a, let's say, not a human, The fact that it's very human-like, the voice, many times even they either not realize or they talk to it a lot. And actually there are like viral posts of these kind of boomers that you mentioned talking to GPT voice
Yeah.
or some 11 assistants, even saying thank you and stuff like this because they forgot that this is a machine, because they will never type thank you after a Google search. But yeah, there is a population in the middle that I will say that still struggles or don't really like the fact of talking to an AI, also because of the morality or philosophic
Mm,
component as well.
mm, yeah. What would you say is that demographic? Are we speaking like 30s to 50s? Are we narrowing it down 40s to 50s? What would
I would
that be?
say, yeah, 35 to 50. We don't have the numbers here, the exact numbers, but in my experience working with customers, I will say 35 or 40s to 55, something along those lines. But then I see we are seeing rapid adoption also because of the improvement in quality. Like interruptions, voice both voice quality and interruptions play a
Mm,
big part here. An example is my parents, both are 60 now. And 1 year ago when I joined around 2 years ago now. But when I joined a few months after, I remember I showed them like the agents and they were like, no, I will never use this. They were testing, oh no, this doesn't look at all like you because I clone my voice, etc. 1 year after, like a few months ago this summer, I showed them like an agent and they didn't even realize it was an agent during the first 20 seconds. And then I also sent them an audio on WhatsApp with my voice and they didn't realize it wasn't me, it was a clone of myself. So I think we will see a big leap with every generation this year and the next year.
That's awesome. And in this, a little deeper in this line, what would you say are the main struggles you guys are facing right now in terms of technology? Is it, you called it, you mentioned it earlier, is it interruption? Is it latency? What is the main friction that you guys are still missing to become that like perfect? It's close to perfect, but I feel like interruption is fixable, latency is still there. So from your end, tell us a little bit more of what you're
Yeah,
seeing.
I would say it's a mix of both. Every week it's improving a lot. Like for example, this week, actually yesterday, we just released like the new model within real time as well. So emotions, etc.
Mm,
Expressiveness is improving a lot on this front. Like now it can recognize, okay, this guy is sad, so I will adapt my tone on whatever, I don't know, they are asking you about a new trip that you are planning. It will make it excited. So on this side, we have like emotions, etc. I think there is still a gap there, but it's getting very close. Like with this update, it's improving a lot. And then, yeah, as you mentioned, interruptions, which is like turn taking models, and latency, which is like improving the models, making them faster, etc., will be the main components of the technology itself. But it's getting better every time. Like now with a web app, many times, depending on what model you use, because also the LLM is a big component of the latency, for example, and it will keep improving. They will keep getting smaller and faster. So I will say latency won't be a challenge very shortly. Like now we are seeing a lot of agents that don't struggle with this. Turn taking, I think, is where we can improve the most, because it will be a matter of like recognizing who's speaking, filtering background noise, and knowing when to interrupt. Because, for example, there is sometimes like now, for example, you said yeah, or someone can say oh yes, completely, and that's not an interruption. So these kind of things actually improved a lot in the last 2 months. Like in the past, when you were saying yes, it will it will stop. Now it doesn't stop. So for example, now we implemented something that you can build some multi agents, and depending on what part of the conversation they are, you can make the agent be more eager to interrupt or less interrupted. Because what is challenging here is make something that works for everything, every use case, etc. Because we can detect and decide when to interrupt and how much to interrupt, but it won't work for all the use case, all the populations, etc. So I will say the main challenge will be more like in the customer side, like integrations. That's why we have the FDE team. But it will be a matter of, okay, so we have this agent now, how we can integrate this in our tech stack. This will be like the main challenge. So now we are building like built-in integrations, etc. But there are a ton of applications. So it's okay making SDKs, doing like some engineering that can go there and implement the technology, etc.
It's interesting, no? Because you are going from being just an infrastructure provider, like I just provide the model, just builders build on top of it and play with it, to providing this agents SDK to also making it easier for the end consumer to start using your platform. No? Strategically speaking, why this? Why not just because in the end, like it's you are putting your efforts on two sides instead of just going all in into the models, trying to make what we just said, making the models better, and just leaving this part of creating a platform that is easy to orchestrate agents, whatever, to other companies.
Mm-hmm.
No, is there any reason to this?
Yeah, there are a few important reasons. First of all, I will say it's capacity. It's good to start with something, but it's also important to not stuck into, okay, imagine, so January 2023, they released the first text-to-speech model that is able to laugh, that is human-like, etc. They reach 1 million users. Everyone on TikTok, etc., starts using it. They create like a basic interface to generate text-to-speech, and they could have stopped there and say, okay, we have a ton of users. Why don't we stop here and we do text-to-speech? But in the AI space, if you have the capacity, if you have the intelligence, like Mati comes from Palantir, Piotr comes from Google, we have like incredible talent. There is Carlos Reina in the team as well. Why stop at the lowest level when you can have this ambition of going for all the voice market? There is not only text to speech, but also applications on top, etc. That's why we have the research layer. This is our foundation. We are a research company. The research team, we invest a lot of resources there. So we will have text to speech, and we invest a lot of money into having the best model and improving the model. And then we have also other models like speech to text that we now improve a lot as well. Maybe new models coming in the future for multimodal and others. But that will be only the research layer. If you only do that, there will be a lot of value that you can capture and you are not doing it. So also your like market valuation, the addressable market that you can have, etc., will be much smaller. And they start with the creative platform, dubbing, etc. This was like the initial use case when they were rejected from YC. They were like, okay, we do dubbing, and it was like, yeah, but dubbing is not a huge market, voice is not a thing, etc. So we said, okay, so we will build a product on top for dubbing, but then if we see that everyone is using text to speech for voice agents, why don't we build with the talent that we have and the capacity that we have an agents product? And now we have these two sides of, okay, creative platform with dubbing and podcasting, etc., and then the agent platform with an application that also can achieve everything about like this background noise, turn taking, etc. Because we have Joseph in the team, and now recruiting, like we are hiring 15 people a week, more or less, mostly for those application, like the application layer of the creative platform and the agent platform.
It makes sense. In the end, it's also what OpenAI did. No, they started being just research, and they recently launched this Agents SDK. I have a question regarding mix of costs and also use case, because as of now, it's still expensive to use voice. We are building this product, and it's costing us around 15 cents, more or less 20 cents per minute each call in terms of voice. And of course, this is something that is going to decrease, right? As technology advances, the cost will start dropping. So have you seen any use case that as of today, the cost doesn't justify having voice agents for this specific use case, but you think in the future, once this cost goes down, this use case will be possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. And of course, as someone in sales, something expensive or cheap is always relative. Because as you were mentioning, and that's why I think it's a good question, for debt collection, if you collect $3,000 and it costs you three, you will say, wow, three is super cheap. Then on the other front, we will have, in my opinion, those use cases where the conversations are very long. So any use case that you think that a conversation could be very long, such as these like partners with AI, such as assistants for the day-to-day, home assistants, all those kind of use cases where the conversations are long, I will say now the cost doesn't justify like the value, because for example, someone speaking about, I don't know, imagine like their homework for a student, they cannot be doing their homework with voice AI 10 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day, because a month only with the cost, they will have to pay a fee of something that is super expensive. But with the current technology, and of course there is also some workarounds with like the startup plan for a startup and so on, I will say the cost 15 cents. I don't know if you have like other stuff in the tech stack, so probably that's why it reaches 15, right? With the full tech stack, yeah, we are seeing between 9 cents and 15 cents, 17 cents, integrating like telephony and others. But for a web app, etc., I think cost will keep going down in general in the voice AI space. And also in our case, at scale, for this kind of startups and enterprises, we are considerably cheaper. So I will say the use cases with long conversations will be unlocked when cost will go even lower.
It's interesting. Maybe more like the B2C cases,
That's
right?
right.
That there's like the end consumer doesn't have that
Yes,
much.
mostly like now
Mm,
there are a lot of B2C cases that are working really good and startups doing like quite good profits with this. So let's say personalized meditation, YouTube automation, all of those B2C kind of use cases are working really well. But the thing is, for example, YouTube, now they can create those kind of videos, because let's say I have customers with 20 YouTube channels and they create videos about history, about the universe, etc., and they pay 4 5k a month or 2k a month or 1k a month, because it's still relevant and they get 20k from YouTube ads without sponsorships. So that's okay. Is it expensive? Is it cheap? Then they earn more money. But this 10 years ago or 5 years ago, where YouTube AdSense was like crappy and they were giving you like 20 cents for 1,000 views, wasn't possible. I would say now overall in the economy, it will be like the cases where the pain is the biggest and the costs are the highest, let's say logistics, let's say health, qualification, because you have to pay salaries for sales, customer support, etc. They are quite relevant. In B2C, indeed, yeah, we will see a big growth when the costs go down, but I will say the opportunity is still there. So let's say a personal assistant. If people is willing to pay $50 a month for having a personal assistant, etc., it will be good. If people is not willing to pay for that yet, then those startups won't survive. But I think it will be a matter of those startups are building now, and then in the future they will have even bigger margins. Now they are paying it with revenue or money from VCs.
quick question here. I want a tip from your side. So actually, we do lead qualification. We are planning to do lead qualification using phone calls and voice agents. We use ElevenLabs to do the text to speech. Right now, we are using the turbo model for this use case, because I've seen there's also Flash. It's cheaper but faster. What do you think is the best model to use right now for this use case where you need low latency and still like you don't need perfect quality,
So-
like the B3 model, I think it's
Both,
called it.
yeah, both Turbo and Flash are very similar. Both are discounted, like they are 50% cost of the multilingual. When you need like the best quality possible, emotions, etc., what we call multilingual, so not turbo, will be the best for any real-time use case. It's like turbo or flash, both with the same pricing. Yeah.
In the end, it's just a matter of quality, feeling whether to go for one or the other, right?
Yeah.
There's no
Turbo is cheaper because also like the model is smaller, but it will be faster as well because of this. So it will be okay, real-time use case, turbo, flash, same thing, or multilingual if not real-time.
Okay, thank you.
Question here, because we are doing this, as Danny mentioned, these voice agents, and we're focusing in the Spanish market. And it might be something personal, but I've seen we've tested the American and English voices, and they are insane, so good. Like you want to talk to them for 10 minutes because especially I love American accents, so especially when it's like some sort of like American voice AI as talk to me. But then when we play around with Spanish voices, especially the peninsular ones, we still see that there's not a robotic, but it's not there in terms of not, I wouldn't say pronunciation, but how you structure, how they structure the sentences, the commas, the dots, the questions. I feel like it's something that we don't see in the English voices.
Yeah.
So why is that? Or
I would
are we?
of course, other than the model and the training with the data, but the Spanish is quite good overall. The thing is, the most important thing here is the voice you pick. So probably you have seen big difference between a voice and another because it will replicate the, let's say, like the pace and the tone of the clone. So there are voices that are very good clones. In English, they polished it much more. In Spanish, not that much. So there is a voice, for example, called Amaya. You can try it. That one is quite good because it was trained with conversations. So if you train a voice, let's say I read, I don't know, a book, I won't keep this pace, I won't keep this tone. Like now I'm speaking and I'm saying like, and then I will say a question and I will change my tone. If I'm reading a book, I will be much more monotone, right? So if you clone your own voice or you use a voice that was cloned through conversations, so in my case, imagine I use my AirPods here and I record this with a professional mic while I'm doing this podcast. I will have a conversational tone, and then when I clone it, I will have the same tone as I'm having now. So if you use, let's say, imagine the voice of the guy who is now doing the inbounds, etc., it will be the best for your use case. So that will be the best. Of course, not every company can like generate the clone, etc., because they don't have the time, but it's just a matter of recording 1 hour and then doing the professional voice clone. But then also the new model that we just released with agents, it will also change a lot on this matter because now we will train a voice for all the models, and then also it will have emotions. So we have the data from okay, what's a sad voice, what's a excited voice, etc., and it will change the tone, but mostly it's about the voice you pick and how it was recorded.
Actually, we are using Carolina, so it's time to.
Yeah, this is the most common voice, which is super good in my opinion, but as you said, like sometimes
The
maybe
intonation
some
when
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it's making questions, it's like
exactly.
it's
Yeah, but that was probably, I don't know how was Carolina recorded. Carolina is used by a ton of startups,
Hmm.
but maybe she didn't record much questions or she didn't say like those kind of things, so they didn't pick the tone for that. So that's where she struggles. But then a different voice could struggle with the three dots or with pauses, etc. So the better data you input to the clone, the better will be the conversation, and also it will mimic the clone.
Amazing. This is amazing. We have 5 minutes left before we finish the podcast, and we have a closing tradition, so we don't want to miss that with you either, Marcos. First question is a little general that we're asking everyone, which is what is the one book that you would recommend to anyone?
Yeah, I saw this one in the podcast, and this is very hard for me because I was very deep into books. Like I have a book review Instagram account. I have 20 or 30 reviews on YouTube about like
Wow.
non-scientific books. So it's very hard. I think it depends on the. I actually launched when I was 18 a book on how to a course on how to select books. Uh,
Okay.
so it's
Wow.
fun.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was like very deep into books. So I will say the thing is it depends a lot on the stage that you are at and what you are thinking on that in that moment. I really like, for a generic recommendation, I will say the Almanac of Naval Ravikant.
The Almanac?
The Almanac, I don't know if you know who's Naval. It's like the founder of Angel List is called
Okay. Yeah,
Almanac
yeah. I
of
know
Naval.
Angel List. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this one,
Okay.
A Guide to Wealth Health. This one I will say is like something that changes completely your like frameworks and the way you think. So that would be like my generic recommendation. But then depends on the stage of each person, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
one completely game changer.
Fair enough. Awesome. This is actually a book that we haven't been recommended yet, so it's good for our list. Next question. controversial. Kids, if you're listening to this podcast, please shut it off for a minute. Fuck, marry, kill with AI tools. Which one would you put in each category?
No 11 labs allowed.
ElevenLabs allowed, of course. And kill. Does it? It needs to be, I guess, a famous one, right?
Whatever.
Whatever.
Fuck, marry, kill. Okay, fuck. I will fuck Black Box AI. I don't know if you know this tool.
Okay. No.
Amazing tool.
First time.
Because this one gathers cloud code, it gathers codecs, it gathers all the code.
I actually saw it last week.
This company is amazing. Like 20 minutes for like
I saw it last week.
I will say fuck that one. That wasn't. It's like the and it's like the company is so cool. Then marry. I will look for something more like long-term kind of tool. And it needs to be AI. Probably will be Gemini. All the apps, you have photo, you have video, you have text, and they do really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then kill.
Papi.
Yeah, of course. All of those, like the rest of the platforms, I don't really use them, so I cannot judge. I
don't want to bias your answer.
11 labs clients.
Yeah, exactly. As well.
Fair enough.
They're all ElevenLabs customers.
Yeah.
So I will try to think some tool that is famous. There are many that I try for different things, like UGC, for different kind of tool for use cases, and I don't really like. I maybe controversial, but I will say GPT.
Okay, I like it.
Because they do like many things, they change a lot of stuff. The models are always like changing and you don't really know, and I cannot remove the M dashes. I try them every way possible. So I will say GPT, yeah.
Solid answer. Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, actually it would be amazing, like a Chrome extension that somehow can block the dashes of the GPT response.
I've tried every way possible with the personalized instruction.
No, it doesn't work.
I will come at some point, but yeah.
Yeah, it's last one, Daniel.
Question very quick. I've seen that you have organized some hacker houses, and in Italy you are now organizing one here in Barcelona. So I have the feeling, and actually I think it's true, that you are a true builder on top of, from your heart. So imagine that you have to stop working for ElevenLabs and you have to go there, build something for yourself, and try to make a living out of it. What would you build?
Yeah, that's the golden question. This is what every company and every VC asks. It will be an interesting take. I always share on Instagram stuff about this, like the use case that I see that are more interesting. So hopefully like someone builds it and I always share about this there. Because it's a tricky question and we could be like half an hour, but it will be probably right now something B2B with a high ticket that solves a big pain. So I will say an industry as you could do either fintech, logistics, so around those industries, most likely. I think it would be like the not easiest, but most profitable in my case.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, Marcos. It was an amazing chat. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. See you next time.
You guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Un